Hi, I'm Tyler,
And I'm Danny.
and we're with Oregon Spinal Cord Injury Connection. In this video, we're talking all about tires and inner tubes. You might need to replace your tires if you're struggling with traction and you notice that your tread is really worn down. You might need to replace your inner tubes if you've had a puncture or a cut and your tires aren't holding air.
Sometimes you may just need to replace the tires and you can reuse the same inner tubes. And other times you may need to change the inner tubes, but you can still use the existing tires if they're still in good shape. In this video, we're going to show you both. All right, in order to remove a wheel from your wheelchair, if you have a lightweight style wheelchair, you're going to have either a button or a lever here at the axle. I typically slightly lift from the back of the wheelchair from either the bar in the back or the push handle. You're going to depress the button if you have a button. If it's a lever, you're going to pull the lever out. So with this one with the button, I'm going to push the button in and pull straight out. And I keep the button depressed the whole time that I'm pulling it out, and then once it's out, you can release it. In order to get it back in, you're going to press the button first. Keep it pressed down while you're pushing it all the way back in, release it, and then how you determine whether it's fully latched in. If you can pull on the wheel this way and it doesn't come back out, then you're good to go. One important thing to remember when you're taking a wheel on or off the wheelchair is making sure the brakes are disengaged, because you will most definitely have a hard time getting them on and off if they are engaged. With the wheel removed, now we need to figure out what size tire and inner tube that we need. To find that information, it should be printed on the sidewall here or imprinted into the tire itself. For this tire, it is a 37-540 and a 24-inch tire. So the 37-540 refers to millimeters, the 24-inch refers to inches. Between brands, a lot of the times the inches are not consistent because the different brands use different measurements. But if you want it to be consistent and you want to make sure you're getting the exact right size, I would recommend using the millimeter measurement, which is the 540. So for a 24-inch tire for a wheelchair would be 540. For a 25-inch for a wheelchair is 559, and for a 26-inch, it's 590.
Thank you. We also need to make sure that not only have we selected the right size of tire, but we have an inner tube that matches that size. So as Danny said, this is a 37-540 tire. That first number, the 37, refers to the width in millimeters. So this tire is 37 millimeters wide. We're going to be replacing it with a tire that is a 25-540. So that is 25 millimeters wide instead of 37. Since we're replacing the tire, we're also going to replace the tube. And as Danny said, the inch designation can be really confusing, so we're going to skip over the 24-inch marker on this box and go straight to the millimeters so we know the exact size. This inner tube is a 25-540, which matches our 25-540 tire. With all of our parts pulled here, we are ready to install these on the wheel. The particular wheelchair wheel that we're working on today has a Schrader valve, which is really common on American cars and adult bicycles. You'll see a little rubber piece and usually a brass end on the valve, and this will connect to pretty much any standard bicycle pump or most air compressors. Some other types of wheelchair wheels will use different types of valves, but it's just important to match your replacement inner tube with the type of valve that you're using on your wheelchair wheels. We have our new tire and our new inner tube, and before we can install them, we need to take this old tire and inner tube off. I'm going to reach for one of my tire levers and use the corner of it to deflate the inner tube from the valve. With all of the air out of it, I'm now going to take my hands and try to unhook the tire from the surface of the rim just a little bit And now that everything is loosened up, we can take our tire lever, and using the scoop end of it, we're going to go inside the rim and try to pull the tire out and over the edge of the rim. Once we have this, we can push forward or pull back to try to get some room here. I like to position it so that I have as much leverage as possible with my arm, and I can push down and slide everything forward. Now I can just repeat that pushing down motion all the way around the tire. Now we have our tire separated from our rim. And I'm going to pull out the old inner tube. Wiggle out the valve here. And now we have our old inner tube that we can set aside. With the inner tube removed, we can now work on the other side of this tire. And using that same scooping motion, we're going to reach inside the tire, hook onto that tire bead, and lift it up and over the edge of the rim, and push or pull to separate the tire from the rim. We have our nice clean rim here, and I can do a quick visual inspection just to make sure that there's no dents, no dirt, or anything in there that might cause a flat tire later. In order to make our lives a little bit easier when installing our new tire and tube, one of the first things that we can do is take our brand new inner tube here and add just a little bit of air to it. I'm going to take off the cap, grab this bicycle pump here, and give it just a few pumps. Now I can set this bicycle pump aside. We won't use it again until later. Our inner tube now has just a little bit of shape to it. 3 pumps with the bicycle pump is not enough to significantly increase its size. It's just enough to give it some shape so that it's not flopping around while we're trying to install it. I'm going to set this on my workbench and grab the tire. Here's our new tire, and the process of installing it is the reverse of deinstalling the old tire. One thing to note with wheelchair rims is that they have a hand rim on one side of them. Although you can install this wheel on either side of the wheelchair, it's important to make sure that the direction of the tread matches the direction of the hand rim so that when this goes on the wheelchair, everything lines up nicely. For me, I know that this wheel specifically came off of the left side of the wheelchair, so the hand rim is going to be on this side, which means I want my tire tread to be facing this way so that the tire tread rolls forward when the wheel is pushed forward. With everything lined up here, I can now begin installing this onto the tire. It's a good practice to try to line the logo up with your valve stem so that when you're going to reach for a pump to pump up your tire, all you need to do is look for the logo and you can easily find where your valve is. So I'm going to take my logo, put it right over the valve hole in the rim, and start working this onto the rim all the way around. The first side will snap in pretty easily, but things are about to get a lot more crowded in there because we're going to reach for our inner tube that we added a few pumps of air to. I'm going to peel the tire back so I can put the valve in the hole. And now I'm going to gently massage this inner tube into the cup formed by this empty tire. I'm just going to go around the wheel, pushing that in. Now we have our wheel, our tire, and our inner tube, and we're going to start pulling everything further this way so that it's settled inside the cup shape that is made by the rim. I'm going to do that by getting behind the tire and using my fingers to pull it over and massage the tube into the rim. It may take a couple of passes to get everything settled in nicely. And I'll also mention that some baby powder or some soapy water can really help if you're struggling to massage the tube to the inside of the rim. In this case, I'm just going to make a couple rotations around the tire. Now everything is settled nicely. Now we're ready to clip this side of the tire into the inside of this rim, and we're going to reach for our tire lever again. Instead of using this spoon shape to scrape the tire out of the rim, now we're going to turn it upside down and try to lever the tire into the rim. So I'm going to grab my tire lever and use the leverage to push it inside the tire. I'll do that a couple times until it starts to stick in place, and then I can resume that pushing motion that I was using, but of course we're doing the opposite of how we were deinstalling the tire. Go slowly and carefully, as it is possible to push too hard and too fast during this step. So I'm just going to work by pushing in a couple inch segments at a time. We've now pushed everything inside all the way around except for this last little area here. So this section of the tire is still not all the way inside the rim, although the rest of the tire is. And when you get to this section, you'll notice it becomes really hard to push that tire onto the rim. It is possible to take this and get some leverage to flip it up and over into the rim. However, I really like using this tool from Cool Stop. It's called a tire jack, and we can hook it on the tire and use an extra amount of leverage to pull it up and over into the rim. So I'll hook this on one side of the rim, hook this side to one side of the tire, and then when I pull it this way, it's going to pick that tire up and flip it inside the wheel. All right, we've worked it into place. I'm going to do another round of massaging the tire to make sure that everything is settled. The tire is looking nice and straight. There's no areas where the inner tube is sticking out. I'd say we're all set to begin inflating this. With the new tube and the new tire installed, we're ready to inflate the tire. Somewhere on the sidewall will be written a manufacturer's recommended or maximum inflation pressure. This particular tire says 85 to 145 psi, so we're going to inflate it to 100 psi. For me, I would use a bicycle pump for this.
Because manual bicycle pumps can be quite challenging if your spinal cord injury affects your arms or your core, another option is to use a portable high-pressure inflator. They aren't too expensive and they're definitely worth getting. I personally use one and it makes tire maintenance really easy and really fast and very little effort. You can get them at a lot of different hardware stores or order one as well. This one connects the same way as the bicycle pump connects using a Schrader valve clamp. At this point with these kinds of pumps, it will show you what the current PSI is on the tire, and you can also set what PSI you want it to inflate to. So it will, when you hit inflate, it will inflate up until that point and then shut off, and then you're done. If you do get a portable high-pressure inflator, definitely look at the manufacturer instructions and make sure that you're utilizing the settings on that specific inflator for that specific manufacturer. They can vary between brands, so it's important to look at how yours works. Thanks for watching our video. We hope you found it helpful. OSCI's mission is to ensure everyone in Oregon who sustains a spinal cord injury has the care and community they need to thrive. If you're newly injured or you don't feel like you're thriving, we encourage you to connect with one of our community health workers by emailing us at contact@oregonsci.org.
For more information about our programs, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook. Visit our website, oregonsci.org, to check out our upcoming events, including our in-person wheelchair maintenance workshops and our community meetups.